as Whitney's going through these, going through the content today, I'll be here ready to, respond to your questions and bring them up as appropriate. Just type them into that GoToWebinar control panel over on the side of your screen. You can find the chat section or the question section. Whitney, did you already start recording, or should I do that now?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Perfect.
And just so you guys are aware that these webinars will be available on our YouTube page later on today, so you'll be able to see the recording.
Right. So first we want to start with who we are. We're Qolsys. It's short for Quality of Life Systems. It's pronounced Qolsys, like quality. We're dedicated to improving the quality of life through innovation and technology. So that's our mission for what we want to accomplish. And that all starts with the IQ panel. It's an all-in-one security and smart home platform that acts as the brain of your smart home. As your local interface inside the home, the IQ panel connects your ecosystem of smart devices using 6 different radios built directly into the panel. And these radios all allow you to control your home both locally and remotely. So that really is one of the things that sets the IQ panel apart. Many people ask us what the difference is between the IQ panel and our competitors. We don't want to name names, but other devices out there typically have smaller screens for rubber button keypads, and they fall short in hundreds of ways. To make things easier, we've compiled a short list of some items, major benefits that you can enjoy by installing the IQ panel instead. The 7-inch touchscreen is beautiful, looks great on your wall, and displays all the information you need easily and in an intuitive manner. We call it all-in-one, not only because it includes things like a camera, lithium-ion battery, siren, dual speakers, and the wireless radios I mentioned a moment ago, but because you don't need to worry about plugging these items into the panel when you install it. All these items are included in every panel, and the only thing you need to worry about is running a power line. The integrated panel camera allows you to see who disarms the panel, recording both the date and time along with the name of the user who disarmed the panel. With the ability to create up to 242 user codes, you can assign a unique code to everyone you know and have a great visual record of when they use your system. This is great for people who you leave behind to watch your house while you're traveling, or for relatives who will be coming and going, sleeping on your couches, and things like that. Dual path communication allows both cellular and Wi-Fi radios to work to communicate all signals in and out of the panel. Our true intelligent redundancy expands your installation locations, and it eliminates the need to find the perfect spot in the home where cellular signal is the strongest, and it provides a backup method of communication when the bandwidth of one of these channels drops for any reason. Automatic updates ensure that our brilliant software teams continue to improve the way our software works with the panels you've already installed in your customer's home with the latest and greatest technology. This includes compatibility for new devices, development of new features, and so much more.
So Whitney, I've got a question here. How often do those software updates occur?
I don't think they're on an exact schedule, are they?
No, they're definitely not on an exact schedule.
They just kind of come as we detect things.
When it's not just detect things, I think it's, it's more as, our team has got a long list of features that we want to try and integrate into the panel software. And they're constantly working on those things. We have scheduled software updates, and we try to get them about 2 to 3 times a year. And as we work on new features, we work on tweaks. Our test team is testing new Z-Wave devices. We're expanding the number of Z-Wave devices that are available on the panel. We will include those in the next build of software, and so we'll test those along with it. And if we get to a point where we're close on one particular version of the software, we send it to the software update team, and then they will package it together and then test it to make sure that, by integrating it into the software, it didn't break something else. And it's a long and challenging process, but one that we are absolutely committed to, because we know that the beauty of, your phones, tablets, things like that you have today, is not necessarily their ability to connect to the internet, but their ability to continue to receive new information and improve as time goes on. I still remember my first iPhone and getting a software update that turned its camera into a video camera and thinking, that is really, really powerful. Our latest software update that went out around Thanksgiving, I guess it is, like we call it the 1.5 software, included some, a bunch of new Z-Wave devices. It expanded the number of Z-Wave devices that, combined with the panel from 69 up to 75. And then additionally, we did, some automatic, easy to create rules on the panel. So now if if you've got a light bulb or a light switch or something paired with the panel, you can automatically have that light switch turn on and off, and it's a rule you could create directly on the panel, independent of the ones that you create on alarm.com, just as an easier way to do some of those things. And there's a bunch of other ones as well, and we talked about that in our 151 release. You can look at that on our website, or watch the the other stuff that we've got out there about it. But the ability to update the software is a really, really powerful feature, and we do that over Wi-Fi, which is one of the reasons we have the Wi-Fi radio in there. Not the only reason, but one of the reasons. And we do that on a pretty regular basis. But if there's things that you guys have, ideas you've got, things that maybe you want in a future software update, we want to hear that. I mean, part of the reason those software updates occur is because we're trying to be responsive to the comments and questions and needs of our customers. So as your customers reach out to you and say, boy, I sure wish there was fill in the blank, or hey, I really need a fill in the blank, or you yourselves, whether it's from an installation standpoint, a support standpoint, or even just you as you use the system in your own home, recognize something that could be useful for you and others, let us know. Let us put it on our roadmap. Chances are it's already on there. We're working on it, but if it's not, it's something that we want to add in there, and we want to continue to respond to you and make sure that this panel is everything that you want it to be.
Yeah, and it kind of ties in with the next one too, with the ability to be accessed remotely. And we've worked really tight with alarm.com more than any other platform on the market, and we've taken the last 3 years, and we're continuing to integrate together, and you have the ability to access and adjust almost every setting on the panel, and you can not have to roll a truck on a snowy winter afternoon, and that's really helpful sometimes. All these features make it easy to do it yourself for the do-it-yourself channel, offering your customers an additional opportunity to save a few dollars by installing it themselves. We've already seen dealers having tremendous success with this, especially those who choose to offer the professional install as a backup for those customers who realize that DIY was a little bit more than they can handle. Custom help videos built into the panel make it easy for your customers to help themselves in the most common issues like connecting Wi-Fi or creating new user codes. You can customize these videos yourself and install your own videos using an SD card right into the side of the panel. Custom text-to-speech lets you customize the panel to a greater extent than was ever possible before. Using the on-screen keyboard, and the Google text-to-speech algorithm that allows you the panel to say exact names that you type. So you could put in Sarah's bedroom window or Jeremy's gun safe or things like that. So our complete lineup provides the end user with everything they need to know about what's going on in their home at all times. Sensors are more than just security devices. They provide valuable data. Our door sensor can tell you if a door has been opened or left open, which could help reduce energy costs if the AC is running, or eliminate safety concerns like a toddler running out into the street, or an alert of a break-in if someone enters while the panel's armed. These sensors report audibly from the IQ panel via text or email from your alarm.com interactive account and can be customized to chime, speech, and notify as the end user prefers. Sensors range from in-purpose and open and close reporting to temperature, environment, and life safety sensors. Devices allow you to interact with your home like locking a door or adjusting a thermostat. These everyday actions provide the end user with a feeling of control about and security about their home. They know their family's okay because they can peek in with an image sensor, or they know their doors are locked because they get a text message if they forget. They know they aren't wasting money because the thermostat adjusts automatically when they leave the house. So for today's webinar, we'll be discussing the IQ Mini and IQ Extended, the IQ Tilt, the IQ Motion, the IQ Glass, and the image sensor. So it's kind of a lot, but we're excited to get talking about it. So as we built the IQ panel, we knew two important things. A panel without connected devices is insignificant. What good is a brain without arms, legs, eyes, or a mouth? We need to connect as many different devices as we could. The devices on the market today were acceptable, but often their technology was not up to today's standards. In order to provide the best experience, we would need to partner with companies that embrace innovation and we're working to improve the industry standards, and in many cases we need to make these devices ourselves. So we're going to start first by talking about the IQ Mini. It's powerfully small and only a fraction of the size of our standard sensor, even though it still holds 2 batteries. Its unique raised antenna design and small form factor make placement on almost any surface easy and reduce the risk of interference. And the included rare earth magnet provides a greater gap forgiveness. I love the Mini. We have, I think, 6 in our house. We even have one used as a gun safe protector. So I know if my kid's starting to learn how to open doors and things, and we'll know if she gets down there and is opening that door when she shouldn't be.
So tell us where you have them, Whitney. So you said you got 6 of these mini sensors. Where do you have them, and how far away are they from your panel?
So, oh gosh, I don't know the square footage.
Well, sure, but just give us an approximate.
We've got our master bathroom and bedroom covered. So how many is that? I think that's 2 there. We've got my daughter's bedroom window.
And hold on, you say your master bedroom and bathroom's covered. What do you mean by covered?
I'm sorry, we've got one on each of those. On each of the windows there.
Oh, the windows, okay. Got it.
Yeah, the windows. We have the windows because they're easy to get into. There's not any bushes or anything to block the way to get in. So we figured that might be easier. Plus we live on a golf course, so it's open. So anyone could hop that fence and just get straight into our backyard and have it. We've actually had it where our back door was rattled with someone trying to get in. So we're a little nervous about that. So we also have one on our back door. We've got one on the gun safe. And I don't think we have any downstairs in the basement right now. We want to. That is our wish list.
Are there doors or windows down there?
There's windows, no doors. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows down there. We've got the front door, and we have the garage door, so coming in from the garage.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about a system like this is you don't necessarily have to have everything right away, right? I mean, I remember when I first got my system, I only had 2-door, my front door, my back door, and then a motion sensor in the main living area. And the more as time passes and you have time to buy a few more devices and things like that, you'll continue to expand. Sounds like your next step is probably going to be sensors downstairs on the windows downstairs.
We have a big wish list. More of these sensors is definitely on it right now. My brother has a child who has an eating disorder, and he has a sensor on his pantry and his fridge. And that way it alerts him if they're open. It's not so much for, setting off the alarm, but so that he's aware. And anyway, that's really helpful for Creighton.
Yeah. Well, we've got here at the office where Whitney and I are working, we've got one of those door sensors on the refrigerator because of the way it sits. Sometimes that door doesn't close all the way. And the last thing I want to do is have everything, go bad. In fact, we've actually come, before we put one on there, we came over a long weekend or, even just a Saturday, Sunday, we came back to the office on Monday and the door was wide open and all the food inside was ruined. So kind of nice to have just that awareness, and you create a sensor left open notification that says, hey, this was left open. Another cool thing about the Mini that I love in my own house is I've set up a rule that says if I leave a window or door open, it automatically adjusts my thermostat. It basically turns it off from trying to meet that temperature. Right now, it's really cold outside in Utah. I mean, I think I woke up this morning and it was 22 degrees, which means that if my kid leaves the front door open because they're headed off for school, I don't want my heater blowing out the door. So I at least want it to say, hey, the door's open, turn the heater off until the door gets closed again, then resume the schedule. So it's not using up extra energy that doesn't have to.
That's a perfect example of how the devices can all work together.
Yeah. Well, I've got a question here from John Wells. Let's go back a couple slides if you don't mind, Whitney. He wants to know where the read switch in the Mini is located. If you look on this image, you can see that there's a stripe on that sensor, and then right below it, it's hard to see, but the stripe on that sensor goes down to where there's a little triangle. The read switch is located right there by the triangle. Now, in most sensors, the read switch is what basically is reacting with the magnet that allows the sensor to say whether it's been opened or closed. When the magnet's close, it can feel the pull of the magnet and therefore says, I'm closed. When the magnet's pulled away from it, it then says, hey, you are open because I can't feel the magnetic pull anymore, and that reed switch is what tells the sensor I'm open and therefore sends a signal to the panel. With this, we've actually included, on both the Mini Extended and the Mini, we've included a rare earth magnet. I personally have tested this to be as far as an inch-wide gap. Now, industry standard is that it's typically 5/8 of an inch away. So an inch might not feel like a lot, you know, when you compare it to 5/8 of an inch, but it actually is quite a bit when you talk about convenience and flexibility during installation. So the ability that I have to put that on something that maybe has some molding that's raised up a little more, really, really nice to have that flexibility to say I can go as far as an inch away and the sensor's still going to go. Those of you that are technicians that have been on the call, you know what a pain it is to try and get that sensor and that magnet position just right so it actually reads. This gives you a little bit more gap forgiveness is what we call it. So hopefully that's something that you guys use a lot. The other thing I want to point out is you've got this raised internal antenna inside that device, which really helps the device from a distance standpoint. In fact, this mini sensor will perform almost as well as any standard sensor in terms of its distance and speed. But additionally, because the antenna is raised up off the board and put inside the top part of the case, you can put it on metal doors. So if you've got a metal door leading from your garage, maybe it's a metal front door, maybe it's a wood door with metal on it. Previously, a sensor would actually, the metal in the door would mess up the antenna, and it would make it so it wouldn't work. It would decrease the range, or make it so it wouldn't work at all, things like that. This actually makes it so that the sensor works better on any type of surface, and you won't have any issues in terms of being able to put it on a variety of things. So, Walter, no problem. Walter just says, I'm late, I'm here. Yeah, you haven't missed much. We've been talking about the IQ panel, and now we're talking about door sensors, so welcome. We're glad you're here. Anyway, keep going.
No worries. So places that you can mount the sensor, the IQ Mini, is doors, windows, like we've been talking about. It can be screwed in place or mounted with the provided adhesive. I personally use the adhesive. I think it works great. And it can be programmed with safety sensor. We mentioned a little bit before. You can use it for pool gates, medicine cabinets, gun safes, or even liquor storage. And you can program alerts to be sent via email, text, or your mobile device. So it's pretty basic. Next, we're going to talk about the IQ Tilt. You know that sinking feeling when you get home and you see your garage door open? I have definitely done that before. It's an easy entrance into your home, and we tend to keep a lot of valuable items in the garage. This tilt is really great because it's small, and it detects whether the door is opened or closed. And you can create notifications to let you know if the door is left open or when it closes. From cars to tools, sports equipment, freezers full of food, there's often more valuable items in the garage than in the rest of the house. With the IQ Tilt, you'll know if it's open, closed, and you can see the status on your panel or even your smartphone using the app. Next, we're going to talk about the IQ Motion. Well, do we have any questions about the Tilt? Anything come up?
I personally, I love having the Tilt on my garage because I also have the LiftMaster garage door opener that Alarm.com talks about all the time, and I still have a tilt sensor on my garage door. The LiftMaster kit, if you're familiar with it, also has a tilt sensor in it, but I like to have that one as well because being that the LiftMaster operates over Wi-Fi, I'm not 100% sure that it's always working the way it should. There's been a couple times where I don't know if it lost communication with my router or my internet was down or something like that, where it said it was open when it really wasn't. And the fact that I can look inside my security settings on my app and see that the tilt is closed, I can depend on that tilt sensor 100%. And, you know, I was at CES this last week, and there's a lot of people asking about what technology is going to be the one that's going to win. You know, people are saying Wi-Fi is going to do it, or Bluetooth's going to do it, or it's Z-Wave or Zigbee, or you know, whatever it is. One of the solutions we have with the IQ panel is that we are compatible with all of those. You know, we want to be as encompassing and as welcoming to all these different frequencies and things like that. But each frequency or each protocol does have its advantages. Security RF is a really, really reliable, you know, protocol. It's when a door opens, you know about it every single time. It goes every single time. It's got pretty good range. Wi-Fi is good because it's inexpensive, but it's perhaps not as reliable for a variety of factors. It could be connection issues, it could be bandwidth issues, could be things like that. But it's fairly inexpensive, so it's great there. Bluetooth is great for close proximity, for peer-to-peer, machine-to-machine stuff. Z-Wave is really good because the network strengthens as you create a mesh around it, and it allows you to control a lot of different things. But each of them have both their pros and cons. I like the redundancy of having multiple devices to make sure that if I want to know something, I can know it, and I don't have to necessarily depend on the information that only one device is. So this tilt sensor is fantastic. And the other piece of this is the ability to have my alarm go off when the garage door opens. If someone were to come in and force my garage door open,
right,
my LiftMaster wouldn't necessarily set off my alarm. And if it can do that, I haven't set up a rule to do that. But my IQ Tilt absolutely would. And then that means everything that I've got in there, all my tools, my bikes, my skis, things like that, are all going to be safe. In fact, you're looking at a picture of my garage right there. That's my garage. You can see there's my dad's table saw, there's my bike, my wife's bike, my skis.
I do love how organized it is.
Well, it definitely doesn't look like that right now. It is messy. And the four-wheeler, Walter says he wants to ride the four-wheeler. That actually was loaned by my neighbor. I said, I need something to make this garage look like it's full of really good toys. And he says, oh, if you want a really good toy, you can borrow my four-wheeler. And I said, thanks. So
four-wheelers are amazing toys.
Yes, they are. Matthew asks, does your product work with both Z-Wave and Zigbee? It's a great question, Matthew. The Z-Wave absolutely is built in. Zigbee, not currently. However, we do have a device called the image sensor that we use, and we're going to talk about it a little bit today. But the image sensor does use a radio that is kind of like a version of Zigbee. It's a proprietary protocol, similar enough to Zigbee. We call it Schmigbee sometimes. It's kind of funny there, but it's not officially Zigbee. And it wasn't really until I was there at CES this week that Zigbee seems like their new 3.0 radios have really come far enough along to be interoperable. One of the concerns with Zigbee, and the reasons why we didn't have Zigbee in the panel up until now, is if I learned in a Zigbee device, I would have to tune our radio using software to make sure it knew that device. And then if I found another Zigbee device, there would have to be another tuning to make sure that it used that device as well. So it really wasn't as interoperable as Z-Wave was. Whereas Z-Wave, if you have a universal Z-Wave radio in your panel, it should pair with any Z-Wave device out there. That's kind of the whole interoperability thing that the Z-Wave Alliance has worked really hard to create. So for that reason, we haven't put a Zigbee radio in our panel yet. Now, whether or not we release one with a Zigbee radio in the future, we're watching very closely to see what Zigbee's doing, and if it's going to emerge as a technology that's going to be really useful for us, then we'll consider it seriously. So I appreciate the question. Thank you. Hopefully that addresses it.
Fantastic. Okay, so now we'll move on to the IQ Motion. It's one of the most reliable ways to detect intruders. Often it's called your second line of defense. So if someone managed to get past your sign or your door sensors or your glass breaks, they will not defeat the motion sensor. When it's installed properly, it can also be used as a pet immune. So it's preventing false alarms with homes with animals under 40 pounds. I like that because I have 2 little dogs and I don't want them setting off false alarms in my house, otherwise they do it far too often. The IQ Motion is effective up to 35 feet. You want to install it in corners facing away from windows. That's because the exterior, if you've got movement out there, wind in the trees or anything like that, it could potentially set it off, so you don't want it facing that. And it definitely can't see through walls or curtains, so keep that in mind. This is what it looks like when it's installed. It's really a sleek-looking device. It's not easy to see. It's not in your face. It really kind of blends in with the house. Here's some more installation ideas or things to keep in mind. Corners pointed away from windows. You want to avoid HVAC ducts and near ceiling fans, obvious. We don't want that to interfere with the detection. Corners above doors are perfect, and you want to install at least 6 feet high. So that is our motion. Do we have any questions on the motion?
No questions, but here's a question from me, Whitney. Can you use the motion sensor for automation, or is it only a security device?
No, you can definitely use it for automation. So you can have it set up where I walk into my kitchen and I've got an IQ light bulb in there and it'll turn it on. So once it detects movement. So you can do that. You can do, what else can you do?
Well, yeah, but anything that you would trigger,
Anything really.
think of any type of automation that you would want to turn on at some point. You could say, hey, when motion is detected in this hallway, I want my video camera to turn on, in the living room.
Image sensor. Well, image sensor has its own motion. But.
Yeah, I mean it's really just like a door sensor. A door sensor triggers something, and it could trigger an alarm. It could trigger a countdown if you've got a delay door. It could trigger a light to turn on. You open up a door, and because you open that door, the light in the room turns on. Things like that. Motion sensors the same way. You just treat it the same way and say, if you detect motion, turn on this light. I actually, at my house, I've got the midnight snack rule. That's exactly what I call it in my system. I call it the midnight snack rule. And if my motion sensor in my living room detects motion from a body over 40 pounds, between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., then it says, oh, he must be up for a midnight snack, and turns on the kitchen light for me.
I should probably think about doing something like that. My daughter's going through a phase where she's waking up in the middle of the night, and I am stumbling. So maybe I should do that. It's not a bad idea.
Andrew asks, are those rules all through alarm.com or through the panel? Those specific types of rules would all be through alarm.com. You'd want to go log into your account. You'd want to click the Empower tab, and then you'd want to create a new rule. And as you create a new rule, it's usually a sensor-triggered rule or a sensor left open type of rule. If a door, not a left open, but a sensor-triggered rule. Yeah, so very, very, very cool stuff. Let's see. Matthew asks, you mentioned not looking at glass. Does your sensor see through glass? Well, it's infrared. So those, if I were to be standing outside of your window, then it would potentially detect the heat or see the heat if it was close enough and the window was, if the circumstances are right. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you want them to go off like that, but it does also create false alarms too. I've had instances, back again, Whitney and I both worked for dealers at one point in our careers, and I remember instances, customer service people complaining about, people calling customer service complaining because their system was getting false alarms, and the best we could tell was the trees outside of their window were moving, and because of the heat from the sun was then being broken and then reappearing because of the wind blowing the trees, it was causing false alarms. So it's a combination of wanting to create convenience and security, but also prevent false alarms. And we found that if you position it right, you typically can limit those false alarms that occur. Walter wants to know, how long does the light stay on for? Great question. It's really up to you. You could say turn on and stay on for a minute. You could say turn on and stay on indefinitely. You could really, you could choose 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It's really up to you how long that light stays on.
That's what's kind of nice about the rules. You can really personalize it to your lifestyle and what you want to have it be. Okay, do we have any other questions to bring up?
Nope, I think that's it. Keep going.
Okay, perfect. So next we're going to talk about the IQ Glass. It adds an extra level of perimeter defense to your door and window sensors. It features a pattern recognition technology for superior detection and false alarm immunity, and it protects all glass types up to a 1/4 inch thick. It's easily mounted on walls and operates when the system is placed in stay or away mode, so it's always working. Let's see. So that's what it looks like when it's mounted. The ways that you want to install the IQ Glass, you want to have it on walls opposite of windows, but within 15 feet so it can still hear that frequency. Ceilings are a great place when protecting multiple windows in a single room. You don't want to necessarily put it in a hallway where you have rooms attached to that hallway because it won't necessarily hear the glass breaking in multiple different rooms. So you really want this in the location that you're hoping to find any sound of broken glass.
So like your basement that doesn't have a window sensors might be great up there. And
that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
You said you live on a golf course, which means you probably are going to potentially get golf balls crashing through.
Oh my gosh, boy do we!
Might need a glass break detector in your house too.
Luckily, we haven't had that happen yet.
Oh really? You're lucky. You're lucky.
I know. Well, we put up a big net. But anyway, the glass break's really handy. I think that's another item to add to my wish list now that you bring it up. I think I probably will want to put one downstairs. That might be a good way to save money. Yeah.
So Matthew wants to know, does your panel work with IT or interlogic sensors? Great question.
I'm not sure.
Well, the answer is yes, absolutely. The panel natively speaks. So interlogics and DSC and then Honeywell and 2GIG all have different frequencies. The security RF radio, the radio frequency that we use is 319.5, which happens to be the same one that interlogics or GE, whatever you want to call them, uses. So, you know, and while I haven't personally tested it, any interlogic sensor that speaks 319 should pair natively with the IQ panel, no problem. By the same token, any Qolsys sensor should pair with a GE panel, although why you'd want to do that just seems silly to pair it with a rubber button keypad. But you should be able to pair it because it does use the same frequency radio. If you have a sensor that belongs to a Honeywell system, that's going to speak 345, that frequency. And in order to use that with the panel here, you would need to get what we call a translator. And there's a translator device that we sell. You can get it through your distributor that will translate the signals from 345 into 319. And then you could use those sensors. With the exception of like life safety devices like a smoke detector or carbon monoxide, legally we don't do those just because of you know, the UL listings and all sorts of things along with those. But any security sensor, it should do that. It should pair just fine through that translator. By the same token, the DSC touch speaks 433, which is basically an IQ panel with a DSC radio in it. So you could pair a DSC sensor with the DSC touch, or if you wanted to use some of the 319 sensors as well, you could use a translator that would translate the 433 into 319 that the IQ panel does. So hopefully that's clear for those that are curious. A couple other questions here. Will Qolsys have a heat detector? Good question. I assume you mean heat detector as in like a smoke detector, smoke and heat detector, Frank. So yeah, so you are. So the smoke that we have right now, the IQ smoke, is a wireless smoke / heat detector. So it does do that. So you should be able to use the one that we have right now for that purpose. So that should be available at your distributor right now. Good question. Let's see. John says oh, you're good. I've got another question here.
Okay.
The alarm.com image sensor will not work. Oh, actually, the alarm.com image sensor does work. He's basically asking, will it work? The alarm.com image sensor does work with the IQ panel. You can pair up to 5 of those natively. In fact, I think we're going to talk about that next, right?
The image sensor, yes.
Okay, go ahead. Yep. Why don't you go ahead? We can address those questions now.
So this is the image sensor. I just noticed I have the wrong logo there, so I apologize. This is the image sensor, not the IQ glass. It's powered by Alarm.com, and it's an innovative device that makes consumer-grade surveillance systems an affordable reality. With a still camera built into the motion sensor, the device combines 2 important features into a single device, making installation easy and maximizes affordability. So the image sensor has up to a 20-foot range. LED light activates when it detects sound. And if we have 2 of these and we have them installed facing our front door, because my husband wants to see if we can get a picture if someone breaks into the house using the front door, and we have one
which 90% of all break-ins occur through a door.
I know, he's smart.
And 60% of all break-ins occur through the front door. So it's
well, it's kind of nice because our back door and our front door are kind of in the same room. So we have one facing the front door, and then we have one actually facing our kitchen and living room where the front door spilled right into. So we can see the whole area. It makes it nice even when you have babysitters because typically that's where they are. So it's kind of a knockoff nanny cam, which actually works better.
I've got one of these in each of my kids' bedrooms. On a regular basis, I want to know whether it's nap time or whether it's at night. I want to know if my kids are actually in bed the way they're supposed to be. And if I open the door, instantly they're like, oh, is it time to get up? What? And they immediately want to go play, right? So I installed cameras in each of them, in each of their bedrooms. And if they're scared, I always tell them, don't worry, there's the camera right there. I'm always watching you, things like that. A couple times with my son, he would always get out of bed and go play with his toys quietly in his room until who knows what hour. And we got after him a couple times. You can't get out of bed. You got to stay in bed. And he'd say, I wasn't doing that. We're like, we heard you in there playing, dude. We know you're in there, like, not sleeping. He's such a night owl. Anyway, I set my image sensor to peek in next motion, and sure enough, the very next, within a few hours, I had a little picture of him playing with his train set down on the floor. And the next day, I said, "You didn't go to bed right away." Yes, I did, Dad. No, you didn't. I think he was like 6 years old at the time. And so I pull out my phone and I say, "Oh yeah, look at this picture. Totally busted. Sorry, Dad." That night, totally went to sleep. He knew that I could see him, and he did not get out of bed. So
we're going to be moving my kid to a regular bed, and she currently plays, so that'll be kind of handy to see. Make sure she's okay at least.
Jackie wants to know if the image sensor is activated by an alarm, does this count against your 40 clips? The answer is no. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the image sensor, it comes with a certain number of views you get automatically every single month, and then once those views are depleted, then it won't peek in for you anymore. But those are manual views. That's you saying, I want to peek in the next time this detects motion, or I want to peek in right now no matter what. I do that all the time with my kids sleeping. I say I want to peek in right now, and I can see them sleeping in their beds. With Jake, that story I related a moment ago, I peeked in next motion. So you can do that up to 40 times, I believe it is, and it really depends on what you set up in your alarm.com account. You can request additional peek-ins, and they charge you for that additional cost. I remember when we worked for the dealer that we worked for, there were multiple customers who had these, and we had about a 75% attach rate on our accounts, and we were doing about 100,000 accounts a year. So we had about a 75% attach rate on these devices to these accounts. So people really loved the affordable surveillance, but we had several customers who would call in and say, hey, the 40 that I get is not enough, I want more. And so we would upgrade their system for $1 or $2 or whatever it cost, and then they would have more peek-ins every single month. So, but alarms don't count against the 40 clips. So even if you were to exceed, so I guess an alarm would count as a peek-in if you're under your 40, but then after your 40, you can do as many alarms as you need to. We'll always make sure that the alarms get to you, just because of the nature of the alarms. So
they want to see what's going in, what's happening.
Yep. Got another comment here from someone. It's more of a comment, but they're saying that they're looking to move from the Simon products to this product. They've got a lot of legacy systems out there. This is absolutely perfect for that, because if you've got a lot of legacy systems out there that already speak 319, that are already using that, most of those sensors will learn in natively to the panel, and whether that's door sensors or motion sensors or what have you, those should pair with the IQ panel right out of the box. And you shouldn't have to use any translator to make those happen. So it's exciting, and there's probably other people on this call today who've already gone through that transition and had a very positive experience with that. But our tech support team can help you with any of that kind of stuff you've got. It's a rare occasion when you have a sensor installed in a home that's part of a GE or a Simon system that can't pair in with the IQ panel. But our teams will be more than happy to help you, figure out all those nuances as you learn about this. So thanks for the comment.
Yeah. Installation ideas for the image sensor, very similar to the motion detector. Again, mine are placed facing my front door and into the main area, so I can see the greatest amount of space with one image. The picture that I get, I can't see into my hallway or into the bedrooms back there. We unfortunately don't have the budget quite yet to add more image sensors. That is another item that is on our wish list. We do have another one that is facing a gun safe because, well, it's not a gun safe, a different safe in our house. My husband's a little bit paranoid, and he wants to make sure that certain things are protected, and he wants to see what's going on when we're not there. So that's his preference. Next, we are going to talk about jam detection. You've probably heard about hacking or jamming security frequencies to allow someone to access your home undetected. While the 319 security RF frequency is not encrypted, the IQ panel can detect if and when a jam is attempted and will immediately let you know. Inside your dealer settings, you have the ability to turn on jam detection. Activating this feature sends a signal to the central station that someone is potentially attempting to flood the RF network with signals and attempt to circumvent the security. The feature is not on by default, so be aware of that, but you can choose from low, medium, or high sensitivity levels, and even whether or not you want the siren to be triggered inside the home. So that's kind of a neat little feature.
Yeah, this has been a big concern for people, especially, as I was at CES, there were even a couple news articles coming out, and I think stuff like that always seems to happen around big trade events or what have you. But people are worried about, encrypted sensors and things like that. And there's technologies out there that can encrypt the security RF frequencies. But the problem is they're very expensive for the most part still. So, people say, well, I want all my sensors encrypted. Well, do they really want to go from spending $30 per sensor up to $100 per sensor?
Right.
Some people do. Some people do. So, but in the, in the event that someone does try to jam, most of the systems out there won't even acknowledge that it's happened. They'll literally let you walk right in. Now, just so you guys are aware, the way you jam something, and again, this is just my understanding, is you flood the airwaves with RF signals. You literally just send thousands and thousands and thousands of RF signals so that, the panel wouldn't know which is an open signal or a closed signal or whatever, and most of the time those things just say, oh, it's just all this interference, it's all just noise. And during that noise, if you open the door, then, it's just going to be considered the open signal, and the closed signal from the actual real sensor would just be considered part of the noise. Well, with the IQ panel, the moment that flood of information comes in, all of those signals start coming in, we immediately say, oh, it's got to be a jam. Now, this is not on by default. So if this is a concern for your customers, you'll need to go into your installation menu and turn this on. And if you need help with that, you can do that either from AirFX or you can call our tech support department. We're happy to help you figure out how to turn that on. But you can see the screen here when you've logged into the panel and done it locally on the panel. You can see that jam detection, when it's enabled, will send a signal to the central station. So now your central station gets an alert that says, hey, there's a possible jam situation going on, and they can let you know, hey, if someone's jamming the system, it's usually only for one reason, right? They're trying to break in, and they can take appropriate action. If you also want to trigger a local alarm, in other words, setting off the siren, you need to check that second box, the jam detection local alarm box. And by checking that, then in addition to sending a signal to the central station, it would also start screaming as well, and hopefully scare off whoever was there. But not understanding fully why things might be jammed or things like that. It could be that it was, it could cause a false alarm. Maybe there's something you're doing in your home that would be considered an RF jam, which is why you can also change the sensitivity from high to medium or low.
Now, is this something that's offered on other panels on the market?
No, in fact, to my knowledge, there's no other panel on the market that has jam detection technology in it. And even those that say that they do, we've tested them out. We actually have some jammers and things like that in our office in San Jose in our testing labs. And we've tested them, and we are the only one that will actually set off a siren or send that report saying that we're doing it. Now, again, that's based on our own tests and our jamming. Is there other types of jamming that that they would detect? It's possible, but to my knowledge, we're the only one that can do that. So from a security standpoint, while you can't currently offer encrypted sensors, you could at least let them know that a jam is occurring and be able to take the appropriate action there. So
it's a good affordable alternative for customers out there.
Yeah. One person's asking, what is the exact jam signal sent in contact ID? I don't know for sure, but I can try and find that out for you guys here. I'll see if I can learn it. And then another person wants to know where on the panel you can find the jam settings. You need to log in with the dealer code, not the installer code, but the dealer code, and you'll find that inside the security account section under installation. So you'd go settings, enter your dealer code, and then inside installation, there is a section called security account, and it would be in there.
Perfect. Any other questions on jam detection? Okay, perfect.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm going to go ask Kevin about the central station thing. Maybe he knows the contact ID for it, but I'm guessing he doesn't, but I'll see if I can find out. So. Perfect,
thanks. So next we're going to talk about the emulator. What it does is you can just pull it up on the website. It's qolsys.com/emulator. And it's an easy way to show your customers on site what the panel looks and feels like. So I'm just going to pull it up real fast, and I'm going to show you how simple it is to install. So this is the website, qolsys.com/emulator. It'll bring you straight to the IQ panel. So to install any of the devices we've talked about today, it's real simple. You just go to Settings, enter in the installation code, hit Installation, and then Security Sensors, Then you can auto-learn the sensor. So you tamper the device you're looking to add, auto-learn sensor, and then it'll detect it, and it'll say it's requesting you to add it to your list. We want to add it. This is a really nice thing about the IQ panel, I think, is you can really customize the name. So I've got, you can specify different things. So on our daughter's bedroom window, we can say Everly's bedroom window, and that way I'm not hunting down in the house trying to figure out which window's going off or anything like that. The panel will actually speak that, which is really nice. So then once you've selected your name for the device, you hit done. Oh, done down here, and then add, and you're done. That's as simple as it is to install. So that's the emulator. Let me go ahead and bring back up our slides. The other thing is the dealer portal. If you guys do not have access to the dealer portal, we highly recommend that you get it. If you just go to Qolsys.com and then dealers, you can fill out the application there, and then we'll give you access to it. What the dealer portal has is it has all of our user manual, installation manuals. It has access to sales and marketing materials, trainings. You can see videos there on how to help install things. It gives all of our support information, and you can even purchase sales and marketing materials there, which is really cool. So if you're looking for, to get a die cut or a panel display board, or even a oh my gosh, I'm blanking. The video brochures. There's really nice video brochures. You can get one of those. You can get them on the dealer portal if you don't want to get them at your distribution center. So if you don't have access, get it. Worst case is you don't use it very often, but you have all the information you need. So that is the dealer portal. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll wait just a few more minutes for Jeremy to get back and see if he has any more answers on jamming for us.
Oh, I'm back.
Perfect.
We actually don't know.
Okay.
It would be something that we'd have to ask alarm.com about, because they're the ones who send that contact ID information over. So if you want to know more about jamming and what contact ID is sent to the central station, you'll just talk to your alarm.com rep. They should be able to figure it out for you.
Do we know how to test jamming? Do we have a question on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you have to build a jammer, which is illegal to do, so you can't test jamming.
Dang it.
We've done it because of the nature of our business, but officially you should not be, and it's illegal to do so, to build a jammer that would allow you to do that sort of stuff. So,
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want to thank everyone for coming today. If you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to put them in there. As our thank you to you, everyone who is online today will receive a free IQ standard door window sensor. So that's pretty great. Your device will be sent to the distribution center of your choice when you registered for the webinar, and you can pick them up there. So we're going to mail them out and to the distribution centers, and then you can go there and pick them up. So we're excited to have everyone walk away with something. So if you want to learn more about Qolsys, just go to Qolsys.com, and we are more than happy to help you. Give us a call anytime. Let us know if you have any other questions.
Whitney, thanks again. You did a great job today. Guys, as always, we love having these webinars for you. You've given us some great ideas on what future webinars are. Next week, our webinar is what? What's the subject?
You caught me off guard. Let me see. 1 second.
Aha, I tricked you.